Shoes off.
Or we keep our shoes off and our socks on. Look at the sock game. Sock
You
game
get
check.
real comfortable over there.
Man, you know.
I know. Look with the
Foot up and everything.
just chilling.
See that? And
Just
that's
relax.
the idea behind shoes off talk. We want you to get comfortable.
Yeah.
It don't get like I'm jealous because I can't bend my knees like that, but like I like that. Get comfortable. Come on in. Come on in.
Not too comfortable that you falling asleep and all that stuff over there, but
I did just get off of work.
We've known a couple people fall asleep on the show.
I don't even know what
We
you're
gonna
talking
make-
about.
we don't mention no names.
I like the hat over there. I like the shirt.
It's your boy Larville, L Dub, aka L Dizzle with all the drizzle.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying?
Tim McAfee. Just gonna keep it simple.
And it's
Floyd. There it is.
On the ones and twos.
All right.
So we actually have some stuff that has happened in the world today. Not today, but over the course of the last week that has garnered a lot of attention. And that is the submarine that unfortunately went down, imploded, sank, whatever happened to it. That's what we're going to talk about right now. There's a whole lot more that's going to get very interesting. I was just reading. I just shared it with you guys. Very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, that
What's that?
all of this stuff has backstory written all over it. It definitely reeks of there's something to it. I will say that. It reeks of
It's
there's
fishy.
a backstory. It ain't as simple as what we're reading and what we're told. There's a backstory to that.
It's definitely a backstory.
See, if I was on Criminal Minds, then yeah, this would be a good one.
I want to touch on this. So you may mention that stuff like this tend to happen. How should I say this? There might be alternative motives. I just want to mention the people, because I went and looked up the actual people that were on the boat. We have Hamish Harding was the chairman of Action Aviation and Aviation Sales and Consulting Company.
Ooh.
He already broke the Guinness World Record for the fastest flight around both the Earth poles in 2019. And then the longest duration of a full ocean depth. So he, did some things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shaz, I'm probably going to say this name wrong.
Just butcher it.
Shazza Dawood was the vice chairman of Ingro, a Pakistani energy investment company.
So
Wait, hold on, it gets better. And investment in holding firms. He had expertise in mergers and acquisition in companies across the industry such as textile, fertilizers, food, and energy. This is where it gets interesting because now this is where it links these two. So Hardings has a best friend with NASA, right? But that's not what we're about to talk about. We're talking about now the Shazda guy. Additionally, Shazda, he served on various boards, including SETI. Does anybody know what SETI is?
no, what is SETI?
That sounds familiar.
SETI is the Institute, a NASA-founded nonprofit dedicated to extraterrestrial research.
Wow.
Oh, how does that fall in line with everything we've been hearing lately about extraterrestrial aliens and all of that stuff? And see, I said this, and y'all heard me say this. There's no mistake when stuff like this happens. You mean to tell me there's 4 influential people that is currently either have done or is currently working on monumental stuff that could affect the world, and they all just happen to be on the same sub?
He was also a part of Prince Charles Charities, Prince Trust International, which he's king now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And look, I'm gonna say it again. It all reeks of something fishy going on. And I said that when I first heard it, and people were saying, "Oh yeah, it's billionaires on that." And I'm like, you mean to tell me that billionaires, they make their money and have gotten to the point of being a billionaire because they're smart,
Right.
they're educated,
Right.
they're wise, they are exposed to stuff that we aren't because of their economic status. You mean to tell me that 4 billionaires get on a sub and this mug implodes? Like, and then one of the guys that was on there was a diver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mr.
So,
Titanic.
I'm
that was
I'm
a
sure-
Paul Henry Nargilette.
And I'm sure he is able to read gauges and sense something wrong, and
He retired from
there's
the Navy.
something fishy in Denmark.
He was in the Navy.
Yeah, you know it is, because one thing about it, when you have top people like that in one place, oh yeah, they try to get them out, cause look at it, you get into a submarine like that. Number one is fishy, because you got these top billionaires in one spot, and they're in a submarine like that.
And it's a janky submarine.
Right.
It's controlled by Xbox. I'm not gonna say Xbox, but it's controlled by gaming.
Bro, you wrong.
control.
Right.
It was.
It's Xbox.
It was
You
gaming.
have to say
control.
Xbox,
That's what I said. I turned it to gaming controller.
but you already said Xbox.
I know, you already said it. It's already out there now. You know.
But that even goes along and is in line with how I feel about it, is because they had to have felt really comfortable with getting on that thing.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
it had to be. And I'm gonna stick to my story. Somebody that wasn't on that sub stood to gain by the death of either all of them or somebody on that sub that was doing groundbreaking things that it could have messed with. And I'm just throwing this out there: the pharmaceutical industry or some kind of industry that is making millions or billions of dollars.
SETI. He worked for SETI.
Yeah.
Extraterrestrial.
And they needed whatever it was to stay hidden,
Mm-hmm.
or whoever wasn't on that sub needed control of whatever it was, and now they have full control of it.
Yeah.
And then I'm reading that the new headline is the bodies may never be found.
Because
Like-
it exploded.
Like that alone sounds weird to me. Like, their bodies may never be found, because the reason why their bodies may never be found is that you don't want to have to explain, or these people are not dead. That leaves, by you saying these bodies may never be found, that leaves so much leeway for other fishy stuff to be done. Their bodies may never be found. So you can actually pronounce them dead and do whatever.
But see, if they're, what's the difference between this one, when you talk about their bodies will never be found, when you have a ship, a regular ship, and everything, and it floats down, it but they find those bodies. So why can't they find this body?
Because with the ship, it wasn't about the people that was on the boat. It was about the things that were on the boat. With this, it's more about the people that's on the sub than it is about the sub. Because if it was about the sub, they'd be like, hey, the bodies nor the sub will be found. So it depends on whatever the cover-up is. Whatever the cover-up is, what makes it an easier cover-up and less likely to have to be explained is what they're gonna say is missing. That way you don't have to explain it.
Okay, so what was the reasoning behind the sub being in that position?
Even being out there.
Right. What
They're
was
going to go see the Titanic. The Titanic wreckage.
And it was like $250,000 to get on this sub.
Yeah, 200.
Like,
but I'm like, okay, so you want to go see a wreckage of the Titanic? Okay. So
I'm not going down.
other people, divers, and all the people that were in ships and well, not ships, but the submarine ships and stuff that went down there in regular submarine ships. Went down there, seen it.
Nothing's happening.
We don't hear nothing about them.
I ain't never heard about of this sub anyway. Like usually with something like that, it's a thing to where hey, this new sub, can go deeper than any other sub. It's a new so you mean to tell me these billionaires got on a brand new sub that ain't never been proven, nobody knows about it.
But they've had these subs and everything. It's just that this made news because of what's happening to them now. And those type of subs were supposed to be like those people can pay the money and then they'll go in the water like for regular Joes to get in a sub and just go. So
yeah, because they have a thing on here where there's a woman who did the dive and she's basically explaining what it was like to go down to see. So this is a regular occurrence.
mm-hmm.
And like I said, that makes it even more fishy. You had all these other trips down to look at the Titanic, but you put 4 billionaires and a diver on a sub and they don't make it out.
Right.
And regular people made it out.
Right.
But the billionaires, man, look.
And just like
y'all
you said,
can feed that.
You know what I'm saying?
To somebody else.
It's
I'm
so,
not buying it.
It's so many hypothetics and so many things that we can say about it. And then things like this, like when you have a regular boat, you can have a canoe, whatever, just a regular boat, and you boat right over where the Titanic is, and everything, and then you just from that point you just go down inside the water all the way down to see the Titanic. Those ships and everything that has those cages and everything, and then you get inside the cage, and then they let you down inside the water, and you go all the way down, and they couldn't do that.
I'm just saying, because you may mention something. Now I've looked at multiple pictures of that submarine, and all of them have a line attached to the sub.
Yeah,
some form of line.
Yeah. The line was a safety line.
Whether it's safety,
whether it's air, whether it's electric or whatever it is, that was a means for them to get them people out there. And also it's a way of being able to know where the sub is. Apparently the sub went missing. Like this story has holes. It's Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is they diverted our attention from another sinking ship.
Yeah.
700 immigrants.
Wow.
Sank on the coast of Greece.
And no one's talking about it.
And this is weird too. So the boat literally sank in front of the Coast Guard, and their explanation for not rescuing these people was the fact that the guys that was driving the boat are known smugglers. So you mean to tell me 700 men, women, and children, and they were coming from Syria, Pakistan, and Egypt. You mean to tell me you don't want to risk a shootout or whatever, or endangering people? Granted, it could have been dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about possibly risking the lives. Is it because I did this?
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about risking the lives of 700 people. And if there was a shootout, just say hypothetically there was a shootout. You risk, what, 25, 50 people, maybe?
Max. Yeah.
Max. Whereas you let 700 plus people drown. And as I'm reading it, people in the article is even saying it sounds fishy. It sounds like these countries where they came from, the people from the authorities from that country didn't want to intervene as well because at that point they wanted it to be Greece's problem and not theirs.
Because they were what, Pakistani, Syrian,
Yeah.
Egyptian.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
and that's 700 men, women, and children. Like, there's gotta look. Y'all can feed that to somebody else. I'm not buying that. Like, I'm not buying that or this like.
That's
We
why
have got to be smarter than that.
Yeah.
I hope ain't nobody buying this. But what I didn't like about both of the situations, I ain't really hear too much about the immigrant boat sinking.
Because we're not gonna hear that one.
But the fact that we had people on social media making fun of that submarine going down, whether it's a hoax, whether it's whatever, you should never make fun of the fact that somebody possibly lost their life. Like, that was the post that I saw from that was tasteless, was inconsiderate, because that's somebody's child, that's somebody's father, somebody's mother. Those are someone's loved ones that are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of whatever the story is behind it, they're gone. They're not gonna magically appear. Oh, we found them. Even if the story has, holes in it, they can't magically reappear, because you can't explain somebody reappearing, because that's an explanation that we can't get. You can't tell me somebody underwater that's been underwater that long. Oh, they're back. They just magically appeared. No, these people are gone. Whether they're gone somewhere and they're alive, or they're gone. They're dead. So I thought it was really tasteless that people were on social media poking fun and making fun of someone's loss. But that just lets you know about the world we live in.
So basically, this is an open boat, right?
The 700.
Right, open boat, open, and so basically, when they went down to go rescue them, they had to go down to the water, or down the water, get them, bring them up. So what's the difference between going down in the water and saving the people in the subway, in the sub?
Goes back to, that was either set up. Someone was about to release something, or something else going on with that one.
Yeah.
Because the solution is too easy. The solution is too easy. You just came up with two solutions of what could have happened, and none of us in here have a master's degree in science, or we're not marine people. We're not any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And if we could sit here and come up with, off the top of our head, solutions to have prevented either one of these, the sub or the 700 people dying, if we can sit here on our podcast and come up with a solution, you mean people that are paid to do that are paid millions of dollars, hundreds and thousands of dollars to come up with these solutions, you mean to tell me they can't do it?
I just think it's funny that two of the people had connections to NASA.
I soon as I heard that story, I was like, and I wasn't even aware. I just knew that I heard that there were billionaires on it, but I wasn't even aware when I heard that there were billionaires on it. That was the first thing that came to my mind. Is like, okay, somebody on that boat had some technology that was about to come out that was going to change the world, or something.
Right.
I was like, that you just don't kill 3 billionaires.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't.
They was working on something big. Yeah.
Bro, look.
That also could have been like a little meeting that they had in there.
You know what's something to gain from that? Especially when dealing with NASA? Elon Musk.
Anybody that has something invested in futuristic in futuristic things stood to have something. Because when you talk about NASA, when you talk about other planets, life on other planets, that has become like the topic of discussion lately. Like that has been all over social media and all of that, aliens and all of that. And I was having this conversation with a fellow vet. Is like, I always say this and I say civilians because I'm referring to people that never were in the military. Is that being in the military, you are privy to a lot of information that civilians aren't privy to.
Right.
Whether it be your higher ups or you have friends that were in the military for a long period of time that was exposed to certain things, that knew certain things. Like, you had those conversations. And so this alien thing and other planets, that's real. That stuff is real. Like, who are we to say that on planet Earth that we're the only planet that have people on, have beings on?
Billions of planets out there, billions of solar systems.
So you mean to tell me that just Earth is the only one? That's why when people and the thing that bothers me is that conspiracy theories have taken such a bad name when everything that we enjoy, everything that we know was founded on a conspiracy, which simply means that it was unfounded and then later founded, like unproven.
Yeah.
Okay.
So something that started off as something unfounded later on was proven. Self-driving vehicles. You talk about self-driving vehicles 15, 20 years ago, people look at you like you're crazy.
Right.
Now, just about every car maker has an autonomous vehicle.
Yes. They're driving around town every day.
Yeah.
Waymo.
Yeah.
Like, so when I hear people trying to give conspiracy theorists a bad name, that's just another conspiracy. No, that's just, right now, it's just, and it's as simple as this. If you can think it, it can be done. It's that simple.
Right.
So if you're thinking it, it is already being done.
Yeah, I mean, pretty soon you're gonna have the self flying planes and stuff, and I mean, not autopilot, but
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
planes have autopilot.
I know what I'm saying.
To
but
start that with the Chicago airport. What is it? O'Hare Airport. They're getting ready to start. I believe it's next year. The flying cars to taxi people from whatever location to the airport.
And they already doing that kind of stuff in Dubai. Like, they have the police. They have the police that fly on the hover motorcycles in Dubai. So that's already been they've been doing that, for the last 3 or 4 years. Like, that's nothing new to other countries. It's just that before something like that can come out, one, they got to figure out how can they benefit from it, how can they make the most money that they can make off of it. The other thing is the safety. They got to make people feel comfortable. I'm not getting on an autopilot plane that doesn't have a captain. It's just being autopilot. Like Larvell said, I don't need nobody on the ground with an Xbox controller flying me from my destinations to
with the drone.
Destination. No, sir. You catch a cramp or something, or fall asleep on the job, running me into other planes. Nah, I'm good. But, and we laughing about it, but those are the logistic things that they have to figure out, because those things are already in effect. Those things are already in effect.
Yeah.
They just got to figure out a way to have people be comfortable with it. Bro, that's already in place.
This is not helping.
What?
To be comfortable. The stuff that's happening right now, that's not helping to be comfortable.
Look, if it makes dollars, it makes sense. That we live in a world that if it makes dollars, it makes sense. We just live in a, I don't even call the U.S. a country anymore, because it's not. It's a corporation. No country has vice presidents, boards. I mean, that's a company. That's the structure for a company. A real company has kings and queens and princes and princesses and they make the final say so decisions. Our president don't make the final say so.
No.
The board does, like a company does.
But
So we live in a corporation. So I don't call this a corporation. I mean a country. It's a corporation, and with it being a corporation, the president of the corporation cannot make a decision until everybody
The board.
on the board agrees with it, and
Congress.
that's Congress.
Yeah.
It really is like, and so with everything that rolled out, like even marijuana, legalizing weed, they just had to figure out how to tax it.
Which they did.
Once they figured out how to tax it, charge everybody a arm and a leg to get licensed to sell and to open these dispensaries. Only have it open for a certain amount of time. Only issue out a certain amount of license. Kill it for a while. Come back 3 or 4 years later and say, "Hey, we got some new license." Now everybody gonna pay double what they. It's just a vicious cycle, and we're just greed. Greed just runs rapid in the U.S. and you can't look. I have a brand that makes hats, T-shirts, and everything.
As seen above.
As seen. So you mean to tell me I'm gonna tell somebody, "Oh, we're going through a hats shortage"? No. Just go print some more hats. Just go make some more hats. Ain't no hat shortage. The price might go up a little bit, but ain't no shortage. If you're printing your own money, how do you run out of money?
Yeah.
That's a whole
Yeah.
nother
Yeah.
Things that
Yeah.
make you go,
Wanna know what else makes you go,
what?
The CP3 trade.
Whoa. That was crazy.
You know what? That was crazy, but I could see it coming a mile away. And it didn't help the fact that he was hurt at the end of the season.
Right.
He lives under a cloud to where he's an amazing point guard. I will never take away from his skills and ability. He is top 5 point guard of all time as far as I'm concerned. But he will have that stigma of not showing up in the big games. That is something that will live under him, and I pray, because I am a basketball purist. I love the game. I don't let my feelings get involved when it comes to players and teams and all of. Do I have my favorite players? Do I have my favorite teams? Yes. But I can talk about basketball without getting my feelings involved. And so the CP3 thing, I hope and pray that before he retires, he's able to get a ring wherever he's at. That trade, I don't see how it works for Golden State. But I also know that Steph has more than once said that he wants to get the ball out of his hands. Steph is probably one of the best off-the-ball point guards that there has ever been. And that's a rarity, because at a point with a point guard, they just have to have the ball in their hands to be effective. Steph Curry doesn't. He comes off screens, pin downs. He runs the court like running from one side to the other side. So what that does, it takes the ball out of his hands to where he ain't gotta bring the ball up the court and then give it to somebody and then run all over the place. Like, these guys are getting older, and what they're trying to do is come up with ways to extend their longevity in the sport. And I believe Chris will do that. Because he will take at least 20 to 25 minutes of the ball out of Steph's hand to where he can just focus.
So with Chris, because I know, like, with Chris, he was talking about how his whole structure is, like, he didn't care if he was coming off the bench and stuff like that. And
you can say that when you're on a championship team.
You know,
you just want to win a ring.
You know, so I looked at that though. When he said that, I kind of like okay, I see where you're going with that, but then at the same time, the type of person that you are when it comes to building a team, but then also with this team, you don't have to build it; it's already built.
Yeah, but they're also getting older though. Like, cause you got Clay coming off of a ACL. You've got Steph, who's had ankle problems his whole career.
Mm-hmm. Green.
It's Green.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to pick and choose his battles on the court, because every it just seems like in crucial moments, because he can't control his mouth and his actions, he put his team in a bad space.
Right.
Even when Cleveland won the championship in 2016, people forget he got Texans got suspended for a crucial next game, and that game was a game that Cleveland ended up sealing the deal because he didn't play in that game. So it's just like, and then this year did the same thing. Like, so,
Yep.
I think that the Green saga is done in Golden State. I think he may be out of there, but Chris is right in what he's saying, because you get to a point in your career and you haven't got a chip.
Mm-hmm.
It's now like, I need to do whatever I need to do for the team to win.
Yeah.
So that ego subsides. Like, you're like, okay, if I need to come off the bench, and in essence what he's saying, I'll come off the bench to help the team. No, I'll come off the bench if that means that I can win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah.
So who do we get out of this
We
trade?
got Bradley Beal. We got what's the kid's name?
What is his
Bradley
name?
Beal and Isaiah Todd and
Jordan Goodwin.
Jordan Goodwin.
Yeah.
And I watched both of those guys play, and they're good young players, but they're not going to change the dynamic of the Suns team. What it does, it allows Phoenix to have a deeper bench.
Mm-hmm.
Because with just those two guys and their current bench, the Torrey Craigs, the Okogie,
Okay.
and
Well.
Cameron Payne,
Mm-hmm.
Landale, that makes that bench super deep. So then you have Bradley Beal, you have Booker, you have KD. They have to trade Aiden. They have to. Because they need to get 2 or 3 crucial pieces to round out their starting five.
Yeah.
I strongly believe that on this current team right now, the only person that's really capable of starting, saying Aiden is out of there, is Jock Landale. Because he gives you some defense and he gives you offense.
Okay.
When you talk about Bismack Biyombo, very good rebounder and defensive presence, but he's shooting like 30% from the free throw line. So that hurts you, especially in close games. They've got their bench is deep. If they can parlay Aiden and trade him and get some of these mid-level veterans that have won, that can play a role. They really need to get a shot blocker, a rebounder, and at least can shoot 70% or better from the free throw line. Big man.
And that's off the bench?
No, starter.
Starter?
You know who I like? I like Rashawn Holmes, who Phoenix had, but they let him go to Sacramento. And now Sacramento just let him go to Washington, I believe. I love him because when he was here, his motor was always high. He was blocking shots. He gets you 8 to 10 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
He's above 70% free throw shooter. Okay. So
that's what they need.
He checked all the boxes. I even liked JaVale McGee.
Oh yeah, he was.
And he's a free agent this year.
Why didn't they go get him?
I don't know. It has everything to do with matching up these contracts, because you got to understand, like, whoever takes Aiden, you take that check that comes with it.
Right.
And so it I don't think they're gonna be able to get it done with just 2 teams, Suns and somebody else. It's probably gonna have to be a 3rd team and maybe even a 4th team involved to get it done. And then whoever they bring over here is going to, if it's a big name, they're gonna have to take less money, because you got 3 max contracts in Bill, Booker, and KD.
Yeah.
And so, and they have no draft picks until 2030.
And that was another thing.
That's
It's
what I'm
like
thinking of.
they gave up all
have
their
no
picks.
draft picks.
I was like, whoa.
That's going. I'm
Oh my god.
Because Washington is getting now second round picks in 2024, 2025, 2026, 2026.
And that was all the draft picks they had left from the Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson trade for KD.
Damn.
They gave all of their first round draft picks
Yeah.
during that, and a couple of their second round, and they gave the rest of them away with the Bill trade.
So basically, they only in this draft they only the pick in the second round, number 52.
Yeah.
I was like,
And the kid that they got, I can't pronounce the kid's name, but I'm looking at his highlights, like, and he's 6'8", 6'9", like, he's a tweener, and his game is not conducive to him being a 3 or a 4, and he's undersized to be a 5. Granted, we play positionless basketball, so there's not a point guard for center no more. It's like, it's all interchangeable. You got 7-footers that's pushing the ball up. You got Jokic that just has changed the idea of what a big man is altogether.
Oh yeah.
And everybody in the league, if they're not retooling to match up with the Denver Nuggets, you will not be playing in the finals.
Right.
Because to me, you've given that team a championship. They've been together for 8 years. Oh, the road goes through Denver.
Yeah.
This is their first championship.
They're in team history.
Wow.
These kids' average age, I think, is like 25, 26. Green is the oldest guy on that team.
Oh yeah. He's
Yeah.
yeah. Wow.
They
Wow.
they are young. Like, they are young, and they got a championship. They've been, like I said, been together for 8 years.
Dang.
And the other thing is Jamal Murray is just coming off of ACL.
Yeah. Yep. He sure is.
Last year. So
Yeah.
now you're giving him, because all of last year, somebody that's had that injury and worse, like, this was his therapy year. He won a championship in his therapy year. Now you're giving him another year to work on his game. He doesn't have to focus on the injury. He's working on his game next year. Bro.
Yeah. Yep.
That's scary.
That's right.
That is absolutely scary.
Man.
There's nobody in the league, not one person that can stop Jokic by themselves.
And that's the whole point of it is, with these teams, they see that who they have to get. They need that body, you know. And but the thing is though, what other team or what other players out there is going to be able to do that?
It's one of those things where right now there's no player in the world that can match up with Jokic. So what you game plan for when you're playing somebody like Jokic, you don't game plan to stop him. You let Jokic get his points, but what you don't let him do is you don't let him get off in all the other 2 categories, rebounds and assists, because I think his assist is the most valuable thing that he does, because he can get his points. Jokic is gonna get 25 points in his sleep with his eyes closed. But what assist does, now he's getting everybody else in the game. And now you got 2 or 3 people with 25. That to me, that is the most dangerous part of his game, is how he opens up the court for everybody else on his team.
Yeah.
Like, that's dangerous to me. And I love his game, bro. I love his game to death. And most people don't love his game because it's not flashy. It's not, any of that. It's not Showtime. This man just goes out and does his job and does it to a T.
Yeah. He be out there performing, boy. Man. Did you see that interview when they after the ship was after they did it, after they won, and he did that post interview?
Oh yeah.
They said he they was like talking about the parade and all that. He started
because
crying.
the parade was originally supposed to be on Thursday, and they moved it to Friday. And this is another thing that I love about Jokic is basketball is not the first thing in his life.
Mhm.
Basketball is like the third thing in his life. His family comes first,
Yep.
and his horses.
Yeah.
So he actually he does, I call it chariot, those chariot rides that he competes in. So he had a chariot race on that Sunday. So leaving Thursday, he would have been good to go.
Yeah.
But when they moved the parade to Friday, then he's like, no.
I gotta go home.
And so that's when he was talking about he's gonna try to get with the owner or somebody to see if he can borrow a jet to get back home. But you love that about him, man, because when you put your all in something and that's the thing that you like that gets you going, and you don't, it's just that, like, you have no other outlets. It's just that I either make it or I don't. Like you really kind of pigeonhole yourself.
Yeah.
And the love for whatever that is not gonna last that long. But when you have other outlets and things that you enjoy doing, now that doesn't become a job. It becomes something you love to do.
Exactly.
And so him having that is I think that is he's my favorite player right now. Teams are retooling to play against
Him.
Denver. It's not like how people used to say, oh, people are putting teams together to beat LeBron. No, they weren't they were putting teams together to match the team that LeBron put together.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
This is gonna be interesting.
Oh, I can't wait. And being a season ticket holder, I'm sitting here scrolling through everything. Any updates? Did we move Aiden? I'm scrolling. I'm waiting to get that alert.
Yeah.
Blockbuster trade.
Man.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the highlight right
Look,
there.
Where should we watch these games at?
That was a great segue.
Hmm.
So, I'm involved with a bar and restaurant, newly established place in Gilbert, downtown Gilbert, called Mug and Shop. This place is a place that I passed by a few times since they've been open a couple months ago, and the place is phenomenal, like beautiful. Like, if you want to watch a game, eat some great food, the ambiance in there is just off the hook. It just hasn't taken off because there's so many other things in Gilbert to do. So I'm going to come on and help them get it going. And over the last week or so, they've had like Game 5. I brought like 30 people in there. We watched Game 5.
Yeah, that was a great thing.
Then the other night, what was the other night?
The draft.
Birthday party, the draft. We did something there for the draft, and then last night, a friend of mine, she had her birthday, pre-birthday celebration there.
Mm-hmm.
So she ended up having like 20 people there. So it's a great place. There'll be more to come. I'll have more information. I sit down with ownership and management this week to kind of narrow down the specifics of what that's going to look like. But we're looking to bring live entertainment and a DJ in. Yeah, stay tuned.
Come on out.
Stay tuned.
All right. Other than that, man, this was.
We appreciate you guys
Yeah.
tuning in. As always, we want you guys to give us the feedback, both negative and positive, because both kinds of feedback just helps us get to the place that we're trying to get to. Also, stay tuned because we have a new location that we're currently working on that for the podcast, and some great people involved. But we will be giving you guys the updates as they come through. But once again, we appreciate you guys for tuning in today. We ask that you go to our YouTube at Shoes Off Talk. We're gonna stop doing Facebook and Instagram lives because our goal is to get our YouTube followers and subscribers
Like and subscribe.
up. So if you want to follow us and tune in to a live, it'll be on YouTube. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in as we end every show.
Love, peace, and soul.